12 weeks to go. 12 weeks to go. You're going to be
marking it on a calendar.
You are.
Yeah.
And you're going to be spending the night on Friday the 13th at Camp Crystal Lake. We need to prepare. I'm getting quite stressed about this.
I'm going to be honest with you, I do not feel ready. I know we're only second week in, so it'd be annoying if we did feel ready. But I generally don't feel ready.
How's you not tying?
Yeah.
Any good?
Yeah, it's all right. I still can do it with 2 out of 3 that we need to be doing. So
Just
I
checking your shoes.
still need one more. Yeah, shoes are done, mate. Shoes are done.
Slip-ons.
Yeah.
We're going to watch Friday the 13th Part 2 and meet Jason today.
All right, give me a little plot summary. What's going on in part 2?
Quite similar to the last.
Yeah.
5 years after the events of the first film, a group of young camp counselors gather for training near Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
But Jason, yes, Jason, has other ideas.
Ooh. So, this is the first time we see grown-up Jason.
Yes.
Which then...
It's going to prompt lots of questions.
Yeah. Because, like, we're talking about... As we go on, we talk about how these films connect to each other. Mm-hmm. How the fuck does this connect?
So, even though the bulk of the events take place 5 years later, this film opens with a prologue that takes place 2 months after the events of the last film.
Okay.
So, in 1979, maybe 1980, depending whether you say... Because that film just says present day.
Yeah.
But it was filmed in 1979.
Okay,
in 1980.
yeah.
So, 2 months after the events of that film... Somebody is stalking Alice. Alice gets murdered. She gets an ice pick to her head.
Yeah.
We later find out it's Jason. He rings her up. He's tormenting her. Tracks her down. He
Yeah.
brings Pam's severed head to torment her.
Yeah.
Kills her. And then 5 years later, we're back at Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
And somebody's come up with the bright idea of opening another camp there.
Pack it in, man.
Bloody Paul.
Pack it in.
So all these kids are converging to get their training before the camp opens that summer.
Yeah. Let's talk about very important thing up top. What the fuck are those drawings that she's doing?
She's expressing herself, Gav.
Wasn't she good at drawing in the first one? As the trauma sort of taken away her art skills?
No, that's like people saying Picasso shit. He can do the drawing.
Yeah.
And now she's, it's abstract.
I genuinely think that they forgot to do them. And then they were like, there was someone on the first one who happened to be, I'm actually generally quite decent at art. And then in this one, they were like, oh, fuck, that person doesn't work on this film anymore. But we need some art around. Go on, Alice, you might as well actually do them. And then she did them.
You know what's quite surprising? Maybe that's her, in a way, working through the trauma. This is only 2 months later.
Yeah, that's true.
The phone call... Well,
oh my God,
she lives in an incredibly creepy house.
Yeah, that's true.
That's scarier than any of the cabins in Friday the 13th. But also her mum knows what she went through.
Yeah.
She saw a lot of people be murdered that night. She herself beheaded someone.
Yes.
Her mum's just like, essentially, get over it.
Yeah, my mum would be like that though, I think. My mum would be like, it's been 2 months, mate, so don't want to keep going on about it, do we?
Don't be soft.
Yeah, don't be soft.
That's what my mum told me when I was a kid.
Don't be soft.
Don't be soft.
My mum had COVID and it took us like weeks. She was like, oh yeah, COVID. This is during lockdown as well. I was like, oh, how you doing? Yeah, COVID week. I spoke to you last week and you didn't mention COVID. She was like, oh yeah. I was like, was it bad? Oh, it was really bad. What?
It's a thing, different mindset.
If I had COVID, you'd be hearing about it now.
Different mindset of the mums. But yeah, she gets dispatched really quickly, which does raise the question whether what we learned from Alice should be taken to Camp Crystal Lake with us. But she does survive the night, so we're not saying we're going to survive forever. No, it's more about that night.
I don't want to. I want to just survive.
So we still need to learn,
and then that's
knots,
it. Then,
okay. But this takes place at Packanack Lodge.
Yes,
which is it's a big lake. So Camp Crystal Lake, Camp Blood. I guess this is just another area backing onto the lake.
Yeah, and Paul Holt is training up a load of counselors to do that. I guess I don't see it. If I was a business person, I don't see it as something that I think money.
Lucrative venture. Yeah, unless you're getting like rich kids, because that's where you scale them. You go, oh, do you want the Happy Camper package?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, we've got dry slope skiing.
Actually, I guess, I don't know. That's the thing. How much is camp costing for kids?
I think, you know what camp can be for like rich people.
Yeah.
It's essentially more entertaining babysitting.
Right.
It's always like boarding school. You're really rich, just get your kids away.
Yeah. According to this, the cost of summer camp comprehensive guide for parents, $87 a day, with sleepaway camp tuition. So if they're learning shit, $173 a day.
Learning stuff.
Yeah. So I guess if they go to like,
but I reckon that's just like your
magic
box.
camp.
I bet you could charge quite a lot if you were going to like richos from New York.
To be fair, yeah, say you got 100 kids and all paying, say, $100 a day. You're not spending that on, well, these children who have come in to be your labor, all the food, like the food, they'd be eating chili every day and shit like that, wouldn't they? Like big pots of stuff that they can make.
That's where you make your margin.
It doesn't appeal to me as a business. Sorry, Paul.
No, I think it's probably quite a pain in the arse.
Absolutely.
But you get like quite a big cast of characters that thins out pretty quickly as the film goes on. But he is training quite a lot of people, so it feels like it's going to be quite a big operation.
That's true, yeah. And I actually do, like, I'm slagging him off as a business person, but I actually kind of like his shtick a bit. Like, I like that he...
You like him because he stands up to the policeman.
Gives
him loads of shit.
He does, yeah. But I really like, even though we're only in the second film, I like that Jason and Mrs. Voorhees now are this kind of like sort of local legend thing and that almost like that scene where he's telling the story about Camp Crystal Lake and about what happened to Jason, that almost reads like he's telling them what to tell the kids.
Yes.
Like he's sort of teaching them.
Do you think?
I think so, yeah.
Pass it on.
Yeah, because that's what happened in the last episode I was telling you about Shangranog.
It's like 6 minutes in there.
In that there was the legend of the Black Nun, and if you mucked about, the Black Nun would come and kill you. So that was the thing that I remember the teachers going like, "Oh, if the kids are playing up," because we had to walk up and down the thing. If the kids are playing up, just pretend you know the Black Nun or you've heard the Black Nun, or scratch on the door, and they'll just behave. Then that did not happen. It wound them up.
The thing is,
more.
you be telling them, it's like that thing where Homer's getting scared by it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you're like terrified of the Black Nun. You're not doing anything.
Yeah. I got called into a room because there was a kid beside himself. Because Llangranog is basically on kind of like a farm in the middle of nowhere in West Wales. And I got called into a room because a kid wouldn't stop screaming because he saw the Black Nun outside, because I'd obviously been telling him about the Black Nun all day. And then he saw the Black Nun outside. Basically what he saw was a fence post. You know, one of those ones where it has like 3 legs coming down. And he saw the sort of shadow of it and it looked like a person. But he wouldn't stop screaming until I went outside to look at it. But then when I went outside to look at it, I was shitting myself. I was like, oh my God, what if the nun is real? She's going to come and get me. But yeah, the Black Nun, I think, was just like, the point was she was a nun, but you know like how listen,
she was a nun.
Keep up a minute.
You'll get more out of it in the long run. Okay.
But like, you know, like how nuns have those white habits, like the hat on their habits.
Back in the habit.
She had no white bits. All her clothes was black, and that's how you knew that it was like the evil one, because she was so evil. She turned her habit white. Yeah, that's why she was the Black Nun.
Jason.
Yes.
Okay. The thing we said we were going to talk about every week.
Yeah.
This actually takes place on Friday the 13th.
Very good.
But just 5 years later.
Yeah.
The bulk of the events take place.
The bulk of the events is Friday the 13th. I really like the idea of killing off the final girl from the previous film in the opening.
Do you not think that undercuts like what they did and achieved?
Huge. But fun.
Yes.
Massively. Good laugh though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's unexpected.
Yeah. And you know, that's the things, like you have got to get the body count up as well.
Well, I think the necessity, and that's why it works well, is obviously the vast majority of your deaths going to come in the middle to the climax of the film. You can't have people waiting around for 30 minutes when nobody gets killed.
That's true, right?
So in the first film, you've got the time jump kills back in 1958. This one, you've got the 2 months later.
Yeah.
And then you've got Crazy Ralph as basic collateral.
Yeah.
But you need that bridging death, because Ralph is 31 minutes.
Yeah.
The cop is 42 minutes, but then you don't get to the kids until like the hour mark. And that's all like you're ramping up towards the end. So you need this kind of like crescendo.
It is a roller coaster, isn't it? It's like
it's like that one where you go up and then down,
which is quite interesting. But it does. This takes place on Friday the 13th. That
does.
a fact. And we actually get to meet grown-up Jason.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about here.
I mean, depending on how you look at it, we actually get to meet Jason for the first time.
Yeah, because we talked about the stinger at the end of the part 1
Yeah.
and how that kind of felt like it was dream logic, even though there were some unanswered questions about how much Alice knew about Jason.
Yeah.
But this kind of treats as Jason survived
Yes.
that incident in 1957. He didn't drown through the negligence of those camp counselors.
Yeah.
I guess there's an additional explanation is that he did die and has come back to life and there's something supernatural about him.
That's what I believe.
But then again, every answer that we can propose, I think, leads to further questions.
Yeah.
So, where's he been? Why did Pam not know about it?
Great.
Pam didn't move away. Pam, we know, stayed nearby,
Yeah.
guarding the lake, stopping the camp from reopening. She worked for the Christies.
Yeah.
And then when Christie started to reopen the camp, she struck and attacked him. Where's Jason been for all this time?
Chilling.
And it's also additionally confusing because you talked about Paul's little horror story, little ghost story around the campfire.
Yeah.
We know that ends with like a scare and like the caveman comes in and it just freaks out everyone.
Yeah.
But he gives you a lot of information which you take away as maybe, is this real or is this just...
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just a prank, because if it's just a prank and Paul doesn't actually believe in it, it's just
Yeah.
like local legend. How much like...
Embellishment.
What's its veracity? Can we believe anything he says? Because
No.
he kind of basically proffers that he's still alive and he's living in the wilderness.
Yeah.
He's full grown. He's been living off wild animals and vegetation.
Yeah.
And Paul tables a possible motivation for Jason killing people.
Yeah.
Although presumably Jason's not killed anyone at this point. Because he's not killed anyone in the first film.
No.
So I don't know why they're scared of him. But he says Jason's motivations: take revenge on anyone who enters his wilderness again, and take revenge for his mother's death.
That's a big thing as well, is like the motivation of avenging his mom.
Yeah, but in this reality of part 2,
Yeah.
5 years later, the only person they could possibly attribute to Jason was Alice, which didn't take place near Crystal Lake.
Anywhere near the wilderness, yeah.
But again, like I said, any answer raises more questions.
Yeah.
Do people know that Pam did a lot of this? Has there been some kind of cover-up? And this is my theory, because when the officer comes in, Deputy Winslow,
Yeah.
Paul's really chippy with him.
Yes. Yeah.
But the deputy is just like, just don't open this. Just like,
Fucking leave him, man.
He's almost
Yeah.
saying like, hey, there's something going on here.
Yeah.
We just let him be. But the only thing that then contradicts that kind of presentation is as soon as Winslow sees someone running across the road, he goes and follows him.
After him,
It's
yeah.
probably Jason, isn't it?
Probably, I would leave that bit, yeah. I guess also, are we saying that, you know what we're saying, because that's one of the big questions is, if all that is real, where's he been? He is in a different part of the lake. How big is this lake? Does he think he's in Camp Crystal Lake?
But
he's
why
just
would he
a
not
bit
make
thick?
contact with his mum?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Is she too far away? And he's just like, oh, this is the
But
camp.
has he just been silent for like nigh on 22 years?
Yeah.
Because,
Until his mum died. And then
then
he's
only in the
like-
last 5 years has he been active enough for people to talk about him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I guess the other theory then could be,
He's built his own house.
did Jason die? And then what Jason is now is like zombie Jason. His mum has either never met him or was actually living with him during Friday the 13th part 1. But she's so angry that he's now zombie Jason that she...
Okay, I'll see you as zombie Jason. I'll raise you one further.
Yeah.
If he's zombie Jason, why is he fully grown? He died as a child.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I mean. Like anytime you try and square the circle, it gets away from
Yeah.
you.
So we've got
Comes a circle again.
Yeah, because even if he died as a kid and came back to life,
He'd still be the.
so now...
I know zombie rules.
Yeah, he comes back to life and then grows up. Or he didn't die.
5 years he's been dormant. He's hungry. Jason's again. This is all bollocks.
Yeah.
This is Paul just telling a story and trying to get them on edge so they can scare him.
Yeah. It's quite strange, isn't it?
So
Because
Ted can scare him.
what's the point of having a motivation or anything anyway is to sort of answer questions. But if your motivation raises more questions, what's the fucking point of having it?
It is confusing, and the thing in this film to counter is the counterpoint to Paul's like ghost story is like Ginny's kind of pop psychology of Jason when they're in the bar scene.
Yes, yeah,
and this is our
yeah.
other route into understanding Jason. And it seems like we'll obviously talk about Ginny much more later on, but Ginny tries to like psychoanalyze or like basically just do kind of just basically try to understand him. Like, if a kid had gone through this, or a person had gone through this, what would they feel like?
Yeah.
She obviously says he's like a child trapped in a man's body.
Where'd you get that from?
Yeah, she's obviously knows a bit more about him from like local history, but she adds key information to his backstory. Yeah. She says like, oh, he never went to school. He only lived with his mother. So she really like fleshes out this picture of them having this very intense relationship that is almost a little bit Norman Batesy.
Yeah, that's true.
And then his mother died. He sees his mother die. What would that do to the mind of a child?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like she poses, oh yeah, he saw his mom die with no evidence or anything for that for it.
Because it's hard to know where she's getting from, and obviously some of that is to set up the finale of the film.
Yeah.
So also to like add to Ginny's character. But these are the two main things in part 2 that really frame how we understand and approach Jason.
Yeah.
As a character.
And it's weird because, you know, we say, oh, this is the first time that, okay, we're getting to grips with this. This series is getting to grips with who Jason is and what they want Jason to be going like forward. But at the same time, he's very different to the Jason that we keep seeing, because I feel like he does so much in this film that we never see a Jason do. And that is, he's closer to like Michael Myers, where you actually see him doing bits.
Like what sort of stuff?
Phoning Alice.
Yes, yeah.
Like, I think the one thing for me that stands out over anything.
Well, he tracked her down.
Tracked her down.
So we're saying he couldn't find his mum across a lake, but has found the woman who killed his mother 2 months later. He's tracked her down.
There's a bit in this which just completely, I don't know why. There's no scary way of having someone take a kettle off a boil. Why have they put that in? Because like him doing that suggests so much about his relationship with the world that he understands.
To be right, I don't understand those American kettles. It's getting regular kettle.
So that's the thing. He understands that that kettle makes a noise. And it's like, oh, once you start ascribing that to him, you're like, oh, it's not that scary actually.
Because
he knows how to make a cup of tea.
Because does he have a kettle?
Yeah, true.
Like, honestly, loads of like unanswered questions later, but like his house, has he built his own house?
Yeah, that's a good point.
As a zombie child,
has he got a kettle? Like, if you made him a cup of coffee, would it just fucking blow his mind? But then, it would just disintegrate his brain.
But then you're right, like he's called her up.
Yeah. How does he know about phones? He lives in a shack.
And this is a recurring theme in the series is we're thinking about it more.
Yes.
Jason is just a mechanism to kill a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And there's lots of interesting and fun things embellished around him. And one way you could look at it is it's quite fun that it's vague and you can't actually pin down what it is.
True.
I think that's not obviously a conscious or an intentional choice.
No.
It's a byproduct of it not being planned.
Yeah.
And the Paramount and the people, the financiers of the first film have just been opportunistic and gone, this made loads of money.
Yeah.
We can't bring Betsy Palmer back.
No.
We've chopped her head off.
Yeah.
But there is this Jason kid that we put in the stinger. There's something there.
Yeah, no, that's true. I tell you what though, no matter, that's
Don't
the thing.
think about it too much.
No. And because I think if you start thinking about whether or not Jason can make a cup of tea or not, you also have to think about like, he dresses himself pretty well.
See, he's got like
that's
dungaree.
not what I would look like if I lived in that shack. It looks decent. He looks put together.
Do you think he's put his best on to go out killing?
He's put his best on, yeah. And the same as that, you know, I guess at this point they'd not really decided what his face was going to look like. And I guess if we're taking this sort of face that we saw from Friday the 13th across, that costs a lot more money.
Well, they save it until the very end when he gets debagged.
Yeah. I love that bit as well because he's wearing a pillowcase basically, or
a sack.
Or like a whatever it is from the farm,
which is very like non-distinct.
Yeah.
Because it's that film I've actually never seen, The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
No, I've never seen that.
It's also a bit Zodiac-y.
Yeah, that's true. Except his eyes they only have one eye because if you look at that thing, his eye it would look wild to have the eye holes where those eyes actually are. I think it would look quite wild.
Well, maybe more unsettling because you'd be like, oh god, what's
the fuck's going on there? Yeah,
I guess that's what one eye does.
Yeah, I do like when they pull his mask off him at the end. They just go, Jesus Christ. Like, all right,
is he supernatural in this one?
I don't know. I don't feel like we have enough evidence yet to suggest that he is like an evil being.
He just feels like
cannot be stopped.
He feels like almost like one of those like he hear stories. It's like Jodie Foster in Nell.
Yeah.
Like he's just been raised in the wilderness.
That's scarier to me.
That's how it's presented in this. But obviously you just carry over the information from part one and you're like, oh, shouldn't he have been dead?
I think like that's the things, like it's weird because I think that there's like a graph of the more supernatural and unbelievable the films come, the more fun they become, but the scarier they ain't.
Yeah. I think it's also about, sometimes you take your cues from other characters on screen. No one perceives this as a supernatural event. No one's going, oh, it's Jason, he died in the lake. It's almost, it just presents as like, there's a killer trying to get us.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Until maybe slightly at the end when we enter into the dream logic world. But like, the one thing you could say maybe is like, he suffers some quite severe injuries and yet can still keep going.
Yeah.
Maybe, but it depends how you read that final scene.
Yeah, exactly. Right, should we talk about the victims? Give me a little kill overview.
So, 9 deaths, only 9. That's a 10% reduction year on year.
Yeah.
But unlike part 1, only 1 death takes place off screen. So for you as a viewer, it feels like more killing.
Way more, yeah.
But we've got like a lot of sharp implements again. He's quite varied, I think, Jason. Like he doesn't zero on one thing. So we've got an ice pick, claw hammer, even a spear. And then obviously we get the famous machete a couple of times.
I think it's quite an interesting one, isn't it? Because you've got does it have to have more every single film?
I think remember when we did our series way back on Halloween.
Yeah.
There is definitely, I think if you're doing iterative sequels, there's this temptation that you go, well, the audience wants more.
Yeah.
It expects more. Same with like Marvel these days, more crossovers, more characters.
Yeah.
More team ups. And it's just that idea of like escalation.
Yeah.
That even if there's not more killings, they need to be more spectacular.
Yeah.
Or the effects need to be pushed further. Because we've already seen an arrow coming through Kevin Bacon's neck.
Yeah.
Should we put a spear going through 2 people?
Yeah.
It's literally like escalation. We'll do 2 for 1.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, yeah.
And I wonder whether that's I think maybe there's a country like, we need to show them something they've not seen before.
Yeah. Because that's the really strange one. Because I put here, like, one of my favorite deaths is Scott's, like, machete death, because I associate the machete with Jason.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because most of the time, the best deaths have nothing to do with the machete.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you're just stabbing someone, there's a way of doing that constantly. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you want it. You would be like, oh, how did he kill this person? Oh, machete to the stomach. Oh, you can't keep doing that.
Yeah.
That's how you would do it. Because you've done it once or twice. You'd be like, well, I know this works.
Well, then, how conscious is Jason?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
Is he more just like, I can do it? Like, you know, like some people just can play any instrument.
Yeah.
And they've just got a natural facility for music.
Yeah.
He's just like, I can do it with anything.
I can, yeah.
Ice pick.
Well, I guess like that's the thing. As we go on, we realize that he is like brutally strong as well. So he could kill you with his bare hands.
But the machetes do feel, because he does a couple, doesn't he? He says he does Scott.
Yeah.
He also does Mark.
Yeah.
He rolls down the stairs. So we get a good couple of machetes.
Yeah, it's a strange one with Mark as well, because it's almost like, because he has that sort of that weird interaction about the video games thing, which is like,
what position?
So over
It's like
the
electronic
top.
hockey.
Yeah. Which is really strange.
It's like really forced dialogue that's meant to be innuendo ridden, which is like, what's a puck?
Yeah.
And then you go in, what's your position?
Yeah.
Goalie?
Goalie, I don't know.
Which is kind of funny, actually, because I've never thought about it. He kind of preempts or predicts the hockey mask.
Yeah.
Not directly,
yeah,
but...
no. I guess, like, sort of...
all this hockey chat, there's no hockey mask in this one.
Yeah, I know. I guess like, that's the thing, is that they hadn't decided. But isn't that strange that you just go, it's now so iconic, but... it's not a hockey mask in the first one, because it's not even Jason in the first one, and it's not a hockey mask in the second one.
I think most people, when, like... if they're not familiar with the series, if you showed them a still, if you showed them a picture of him, they're like, I have no idea what it's from.
No, yeah. That's the thing, is I would be like, pillowcase. I was like, well, that's not scary to me.
I think this is definitely more a forgotten one. But I think it is fun, and I think the kills are good. Like I think like the Mark one, when he goes like the machete to the face is pretty brutal, and you get that weird like dip to white.
Yeah.
And it transitions straight to them having sex.
Yeah, that's true. I think my favorite one is Vicky's death, because it's so slow, and it feels like you've got all the time in the world to actually stop this Vicky. But also we get that weird little Jason switcheroo when he's in bed and he like jumps out on her.
Oh yeah.
Like that's quite a fun one, because then it's a bit more playful in a way that I actually don't want from my Jason going forward. Like I want him. I like off-screen deaths, and I like the idea. I don't like I think the more you see of Jason, the less scary he is.
Because this is the first one, and the guy is played by two people predominantly. There's like a stunt. There's Warrington Gillette, and then there's a guy called Steve Dash who did a lot of the stunts and tries to take. Well, it says he did most of the stuff you actually see in the film.
Yeah.
And compared to this future ones, I don't really have a strong opinion on what Jason's like. Whereas in later ones, I find him quite erratic, and quite scary. Or sometimes he becomes a little bit more like Michael Myers, where he's just like slow and waiting and watching.
Yeah.
I don't really have a strong impression of what. I guess a lot of this is still like quite embryonic in this film.
It is, yeah. Like you're still kind of. I think
they're trying to find it as they go.
Yeah, and I think I'm sort of working out right now as well as we do this podcast is like what I actually think is the best. Where do we like that is the best Jason? We're not getting any better than that. So we've got to send him to space now.
Because I think because he's not in the first one, so it's easy to like do the Halloween series. I have a very strong idea, and I guess it also it comes in the best film.
Yeah,
what Michael Myers should be like. Same with Freddy Krueger. So you've got basically here is the archetype, or he's the master.
Yeah.
Compare future installments to that one.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, because it's kind of finding it as you go.
Yeah.
Jason's emerging across a series of films rather than here's the fully formed version by a Carpenter or Wes Craven.
Yeah.
You were trying to like, people are adding to him as you go. You know that game of Consequences?
Yeah.
It's like part 3. Oh, we'll add the hockey mask now.
I actually think that's what makes this series, Friday the 13th, like really interesting because as we found with Halloween when we did that podcast was every single time we were basically analyzing how someone we were saying is like misunderstanding Michael, and you get to like, you know, the later ones of Halloween, you'd be like, we are now so far away
or
from
misunderstanding
the thing that I love about that series. We are now so far away from that.
Rob Zombie.
Yeah, exactly. That this isn't enjoyable anymore, and it's just like that.
It's because we have a very strong opinion and an attachment to that version. But it's a very different this is like a collaborative creation.
I like it.
It's cumulative.
Like it, yeah.
It's like the Google Doc Killer.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's like little bits we put on.
But that's what I mean. Like, it'd be really interesting in this series of this podcast to get to somewhere and go, here we go. We have arrived. This is Jason.
All the elements that we now associate are kind of in place.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Do you have a favorite kill, do you think?
I think Vicky for me, like Vicky's death, just because it's, even though, like I said, I don't like Jason being that playful, I do actually think that it's quite good. What about you? What's your favorite one?
Not my favorite, but also I just want to like take a little moment just to remember Crazy Ralph.
Oh, yeah.
That's like their other recurring character from the first film also gets killed second, garroted with barbed wire.
Get free little death there, don't you? Where you have to kill off one of the kids, which is good. What can we learn from these people?
So I've got a few.
I've got a couple of things.
Yeah, should we go back and forth?
Yeah, let's do it. Don't decapitate a killer's man, because you will get killed.
At some point.
Yeah, he will find you.
Yeah, okay.
Even if you live in a little shitbox house.
What if at the time I thought her son, who's also a killer, drowned?
Interesting. I think
don't do it anyway.
I think don't do it. I think just don't do it. Like,
I'm gonna say this again: don't shag.
Yeah.
Because again, not everyone shags, but the two people that do definitely die. So with some of these rules, it's not like if you do it, we'll definitely survive.
Yeah.
But it might be like marginal gains.
Yes.
You know, like Olympians. Yeah. It's like it might be just a 1% chance.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah.
So I just put it in. Not saying we have to do it.
Yeah. This is a question for you, because I haven't seen your what you're planning to take on the trip. You're planning to take a Nintendo Switch. You're planning to take a little video game console with you.
Hockey. I wasn't actually. Well, you were saying I can't take. Well, if I can't play it, I'm not taking it.
I wouldn't.
I could actually see on eBay whether you can buy that hockey game.
Thing, yeah. I mean, we're going against this, but we're saying maybe that's not the reason.
But the thing is, this is the way patterns work.
Yeah.
Mark plays it, he definitely dies.
Yeah.
And it's unlikely that's responsible, but I would almost not do anything Mark does.
Yeah. Because it starts then to just fall under the umbrella of like mucking about. Stop mucking about because children die.
Yeah, okay.
So that's
I want to muck about a bit.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Another one, Vicky. Just before she said, don't spray perfume on your bits.
Yeah, that's kind of
because I don't know whether Jason, because if we're taking over some of Ginny's psychology,
Yeah.
that he's a child trapped in a powerful man's body,
Yeah.
and he's never really had proper like maturation. Does he understand what sex is? Does he understand what bits are?
Yeah, that's true.
Is doing
actually,
something like that just like confusing him?
Yeah.
Or is
me.
he having bodily responses to seeing that and he doesn't really know what to do with them?
So his response is to murder people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is I think this is the bonkers one because we are a million percent breaking this one. Paul tells them very specifically to not go snooping around Camp Crystal Lake. And they go snooping around Camp Crystal Lake. In a few weeks' time, guess what we're going to be doing? Snooping around Camp Crystal Lake.
No, making a video.
Yeah.
That's not it's work.
I'll be doing some snooping.
Also, I think, you don't think that's a bit rich coming from Paul? It's like, mate,
Yeah.
you're opening a camp on Crystal Lake.
Hang on, I'm
no,
adjacent.
That bit, Packanack Lodge.
Yeah, it's different.
That's
that is.
Crystal
Yeah,
Lake.
Yeah.
That's Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
I think that's splitting hairs, really. I've got one.
Okay.
It's kind of a little bit adjacent to our lesson from last week.
Yeah.
But Terry goes skinny dipping.
Ooh.
And I think skinny dipping, a little bit like spraying perfume on your bits or having sex, or like strip Monopoly.
Yeah.
It's unnecessarily getting your kit off.
Yeah.
And a few reasons. One, you're
Hard to
vulnerable.
run.
What?
Hard to run.
Hard to... Well, freeing. One, we're in the woods. I don't really know a lot about the woods. I don't want to be... I want to die of exposure. But also, I don't want to be done for exposure.
Yeah.
And I also don't want to anger Jason with my bits.
I think that's a good one. I love going swimming. I have been skinny dipping.
You like getting your bits out?
I do like getting naked.
We have been to the Blue Lagoon together.
Yeah. Like, I do like getting naked in water because I think it does feel really nice. But if I then was like, you now have to run away from a serial killer. No, I don't want to do that. Sounds like a pain in the ass. Faffing. A lot of faffing.
And we know Terry dies.
Yeah.
Also, it's really weird when Scott nicks her clothes and he's just like watching her from
weirdo,
and he's like, hey. It's like, that's not all right, mate.
If you want something fun to do, go on IMDb and look up the actor who played Scott's profile picture, or one of his profile pictures, because there's a picture of him with his top off as like a maybe like 65-year-old man. Completely unnecessary. I don't know why he's done that.
Is he like at a convention?
No, it's like a press shot. He looks great. I mean, he's a good Nick.
Oh, right.
So,
Fair enough.
He should be. Yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that is weird. I think that's a good one, I think.
I just think skinny dipping is like strip Monopoly adjacent.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing to remember.
It's also good.
I think he's asking for trouble skinny dipping.
It's going to be available to us as well.
Yeah, and also like, no, they don't want to see that. I don't want that for them.
Yeah, that's true. I had to have a look. But, okay, I think that's good. So what we got? What's our lessons then?
So... from week 1, no strip Monopoly or any strip variant of any game or pastime.
Cool.
And then today we've learned no skinny dipping.
No skinny dipping. Fine. I can do that. Okay, well, that's the victims. Who's our survivor?
This is a little, again, it's the final sequence, the ending throws off the reality here.
Don't give a shit.
But the one that we can definitely say for certain
Muffin.
Ginny Field.
Ginny Field. Okay, fine.
Who I think is a really well thought of protagonist in this series.
Oh yeah,
like she's very tenacious, she's very capable. She, we've talked about the bar scene where she provides kind of invaluable psychology to the character of Jason.
Yeah.
But when she actually has to fight him at the end or face him, she like goes at him in a way that I think Sydney does in Scream. She like actually she kicks him in the balls. She goes at him with a chainsaw.
Yeah,
like she really does stand up for herself.
She is. Absolutely, she's bolshy from the start. She's very independent from the start. We actually see her arrive completely different to other people.
Later.
Yeah, but we also, they're very careful to go, hey, do you want to see her with a chainsaw? She's pretty handy with it.
I know.
I think that'll be coming back later.
And they do also show that she is scared because when she's under the bed, some people speculate the rat is pissing that amount.
Yeah.
But she does. I don't think you need to show her doing that.
No.
But again, I guess you imply she is scared. But even if she is feeling scared, she overcomes that to get herself out of situation time and time again.
Yeah. I always have a problem with that in films because I just think, because that is a depiction.
It's a visual signifier for,
I don't know. I have been scared in my life. Maybe not like that. Maybe that's the thing. But I just can't imagine me being so afraid that I piss myself.
What about when you met the Black Nun?
At no point did I think I was going to pee.
Okay.
But also, the famous saying is like, oh, he shit himself.
Yeah.
So why in movies do we always see people pissing themselves?
It's probably easier to depict visually.
Yeah, that's true. Because
you have wet patch where it's like you can't do little wavy lines.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think, because like I can think of 2 films off the top of my head where that happens. In Red Dragon, the little kid pisses himself. Well, that's a little kid, so you got. In Unforgiven, the writer.
You bring up Red Dragon so much.
I know, I watch it a lot.
Is it because it's called Red Dragon?
Yeah, just watching it for tips.
And Anthony Hopkins is a bonus.
Yeah. Thing is, it's trash, but it's fun trash. It's a fun trash in that sort of Hopkins trilogy. But yeah, I think the pissing thing for me in this is similar to the snake in the first film.
Yeah,
which is completely fucking unnecessary.
Yeah,
weird.
That scene, talking about like Jason having more about him than you necessarily think you would.
Yeah.
The bit where he fools her that he's left the room by standing on a chair.
Yeah.
So she thinks he's left the room. She gets out. He's still on the chair.
Yeah.
Who's told him that? That's like quite. I'm not saying it's not Oppenheimer or Einstein, but it's like
it's clever.
It's pretty clever.
It's not scary.
No. Right? He's just standing on the chair.
It's not scary to think like that. It's like yeah, that is. He could do that.
So why not just lift the bed up and get her?
Absolutely, yeah.
I do like Ginny a lot. Now, the thing that I think complicates it slightly is the end sequence. So possibly Paul and Muffin are still are survivors, but we'll talk about the ending in a bit. But like let's say it's Ginny and what she does. Now, if we talk about possible lessons or things we can extrapolate and keep in our back pocket, is basically, my first one that I've got is have sympathy for the killer or empathy. Try to understand the killer. It'll give you, because this is connected to what she does at the end.
Yeah.
Her trying to understand Jason equips her with the knowledge where when she gets to his shack at the end and see Pam's decapitated head and jumper, she thinks very quickly, how do I communicate or subdue somebody that still has the mind of a child? What I'll do very quickly is become his mother, because Jason would be naturally deferential to Pam. It's an unbelievable leap. It's an unbelievable quick thinking.
I'd be like, I wouldn't think that. I'd be thinking, where did I put that chainsaw? I need to go find that chainsaw again.
The chainsaw is a better solution.
Yeah, but I don't think that would be in my arsenal.
my favorite, one of my favorite bits in this movie is when Ginny has that eureka moment. Yeah, she gets on her knees, she puts on the jumper, and she like lines up her head with Pam's withered 5-year-old decapitated head. Yeah, and so it's just matching her hair.
Oh my god!
Like that's the thing that's going to nail it or not.
Yeah,
or trying to like figure out what Pam's hairstyle was on based on that.
Yeah. No, that's it.
It works though.
It does work. You're right. And they also take it for the video game as well, don't they? And like that's actually it becomes a function in the video game where you've got it when you're like running around Camp Crystal Lake, because there's a video game where you're play the counselors trying to escape Jason. You've got to find the jumper, put the jumper on, and actually they turned all that into a series of things that you have to do. It's
effective, but again, I think it just shows you. Well, it's either show empathy or perfect your Pam impression.
Yeah. Because it's almost like she puts the jumper on. I don't like sitting on other people's couches, so I don't know if like. I feel a bit strange on some people's couches.
Sweater is quite a push from sitting on.
Where's he got that from?
Well, this is the other thing: is did they not recover Pam's body from the events of the first film? This tallies with that idea we tabled about there being some degree of cover-up.
Right? Yeah.
Is surely the police should know that the killer's body? Do they know that Pam did it? Is that why Alice's mum is like less sympathetic because she's like, we didn't find any bodies? I don't know. Like it's a little bit uncertain because Postal's
that's a good shout. Like not only did we not find the boy that you keep rambling on about, we also didn't find this woman that you apparently decapitated either.
Was Jason on heavy cleanup duty?
I like that.
Might need to fact check that, but like there's something like there's a little bit like I've got one more possible lesson. Just spend most of the night in a bar or pub nearby and don't spend time in the actual camp where Jason is.
That's pretty good.
Because for the majority of this evening, Ginny, our survivor, isn't present.
No.
And you immediately reduce your chances of being killed if you're not actually there. Now, he never faces Jason, but Ted, which is our kind of like Joker character in this one, we're not saying he's survivor because he never faces Jason, but good.
Yeah.
He just stays at the bar all night.
Yeah,
he gets so drunk, he has to sleep in town.
Yeah, that's pretty good, isn't it? I'm not saying that we get drunk and we don't go to Camp Crystal Lake, but I am saying that maybe we find a pub close by that just to stake it out, that if things do go tits up, we can get there pretty quickly.
And that's the thing. They just take a few hours away from there.
Yeah.
That's 2 hours out of danger.
I think being in a bar for a lot of it is good.
Yeah, and that bar looks really fun.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
I think it's a real bar. And I think a lot of those people
feels real.
I think a lot of those
yeah.
extras were actually customers.
Just people.
Yeah, just people who like hang out in that town.
Yeah. Okay. No, I do like that.
This is the thing we've always talked about, these lessons.
Yeah.
Is none of them are a surefire way of surviving, but if you multiply them, you're increasing your chances.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. Is like, I think that's a really strong one. Because I was like trying to think of what she does that's really good, and kind of thinking about Alice in the first one. What's Alice good at? Knots. What's Ginny good at?
Kicking him in the balls.
Chainsaws. But I don't want us to be mucking about with a chainsaw. People would think we're weird.
Yeah.
Also,
and people might not go, oh, it's a different film.
Yeah.
You're like, I know it's a different film.
I think stake out a bar.
I thought I could sell you on the idea of maybe going to a pub or bar nearby.
Okay, because they'll probably sell Coors Light there, and I do like Coors Light.
Okay, so we've got learn to tie some knots.
Yes.
At least 3.
Yeah.
And spend the night in a bar nearby. That's how you survive.
That's pretty good, isn't it? Can we leave the knots until the bar, or I need to know some knots before the bar?
At least one.
Okay, fine. Good. Here's a question for you, though. Right? Do we need to be worrying about poison ivy?
Maybe not if we're not skinny dipping.
What the fuck is poison ivy? Is it like stinging nettles?
Nah, way worse.
Is
way worse.
it?
Yeah, way worse.
No.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Is actually poison?
I don't think it's native to the UK.
Okay, good. Because that's why I thought it was like an American thing. You know, like how I'm just looking at that. Yeah, it's different.
You get really horrible blisters.
See, I thought it was going to be like stinging nettles, but that's just what Americans call it. They call it poison ivy.
No. It's way worse. It's like I think you'd be suffering for days.
Do we need to be worrying about that?
Well, I'm going to keep my kit on.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
I think that helps.
That goes into that.
Well, that's the thing. You know, as a dual purpose, I think we'll be all right.
Okay, fine.
I actually don't know what it looks like.
It's not
Can
great.
you put that in our planning doc?
It's not nice, let me tell you. And it's definitely not stinging nettles, so that's good. Any other question I have, right? And maybe this will change as we go. What is the noise? Because everything it's like this thing.
The kill.
Yeah. Because everyone says that in the documentaries that I've watched and things like that, everyone is saying that it's kick, map, as in like a variation of kill, mam,
Yeah.
right? That is not what is happening in this film.
What's in this film?
Fuck, not that.
Because it's like the full word that they clip,
Yeah.
and then they put it through like a deck thing that echoes it and just repeats it, right? That's the story.
For me, it sounds like J,
J,
like Jason.
J,
yeah.
and then
J.
It does sound like
Yeah.
maybe it's like a Rorschach test.
Yeah, well,
So you hear what you kind of it's different.
Maybe, as it goes on. Again, like, what's the rules? Do they have rules? Do they know what it is? I don't know. Or like because I think a lot of time something becomes popular after the fact or has a legacy. When people are looking back on it, they get things wrong.
I guess that you think what it becomes.
Yeah.
Like, I think the first time I think there probably are some stuff that gets laid down and you go, oh my God, that's transformative.
Yeah.
When they put the Jaws soundtrack on, you're like, that helps quite a lot. I think that similar happened with the Halloween score. You're like, this is not very scary, this film. Put that on, you're like, oh wow, that really pops.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah, I don't mind it. It'll go in the film. Yeah. And then it pops off, it's like, oh, I said to do that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happens with the Jason scare in the first film. Everyone tries to take credit for it.
Yeah.
Because later on it becomes so famous. And obviously it gives rise to Jason.
Yeah.
So everyone wants to stake a claim that I'm the person who did that.
Yeah. The same thing. I think the same thing will be happening because I don't know whose idea the mask was as we go on. But I reckon people will be doing that as well. Being like, oh yeah, I brought this in from
Well, it's
home
just a
because I'm
claim
really
to-
into hockey. So
Oh, it's like an unverifiable claim to fame.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
I was the person that did this, yeah. And no one, maybe because it's one of those things where,
Because you can't really do it with penicillin.
no, he'd be like, did you do it or did you not do it? Yeah. Yeah.
Because that is not documented. Yeah, I actually did it.
Yeah. Didn't we, well, like, do you know anyone, I'm trying to think, like, didn't we have a mate once who he tried to say that he coined the term banter? Like,
Yes,
and
or
he still
popularised
He
it.
still says that as well.
And singing angels in large
Yeah.
groups of men. Again,
Two things.
It might be.
I'd love
might
to
be
get
true,
involved
might
with.
be
Yeah,
true. Might be
that's
true.
yeah.
But hard to verify.
Very good. Should we talk about the ending then?
Mate, I've got some more questions.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
Who built his house? Where
Yeah.
does he get his clothes?
Yeah.
Because when you're a kid, your mum buys you clothes.
Yeah, she ain't buying them.
So what's he doing with those? Like,
Yeah.
where's he getting a flannel shirt from? Is he nicking them? Is he going to shops?
He looks decent. Looks better than I would look in overalls.
So who built his
dungarees?
shack? Who installed a toilet in his shack?
I think that shack's just there and he's just looking for cover.
Does he use the toilet in the shack? Because he has a plant growing out of it. But does he use it? Does he know how to use a toilet? He knows how
No,
to use
that's what I mean.
kettle. He knows how to use a phone.
That's why I think the shack was already there and he's taken over the shack.
Okay. What's he doing with his mum's head? Is he just like
Looking at it?
because it's like an altar,
Watching it
Like,
like
was
telly?
did you just go sitting there at night?
Yeah.
Because he's built like an almost
It
feels
looks
like
that,
ritualistic.
yeah. Also, like the shack really reminds me of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just
Yeah.
like general weird
Bits, yeah, like geeny stuff.
Yeah, have you seen
Those are the main questions.
Have you ever seen that video for Adam Buxton's Nutty Room? And it's basically like he just made a song about like serial killer's nutty room, and that's exactly what he looks like.
I think that's the thing about Texas Chainsaw is,
Nutty house.
well, that's the thing. They don't think they're nutty.
No.
So you just go in and it's like, oh, it's everywhere, is it?
Yeah, I that really bothers me though, because one of the rooms is just full of chickens and chicken feathers. If you were upstairs or you're in the dining room, be like, where'd I leave my keys? In the chicken room, you fucking idiot. It's in the chicken. And you're like, well, I'm never finding that again, am I?
Oh, chicken room. Is,
Oh, the chicken room. It's like, just stick it in the chicken room. That is a mad old room. Nutty room.
that house is horrible.
Yeah.
Load of dusting in that house. That's all the questions I had. Really.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of them are answerable.
I don't think that you had, no. And similarly, I guess when let's move on to the ending.
You know, it's a similar sort of sequence to Alice in the boat at the end of the first film.
Yeah.
Is, you know, they survive, and then they retreat. So they survive the events of Jason's cabin.
Yeah.
They retreat to the safety of this other cabin. Paul barricades the door, locks the door, and then Muffin turns up. Now, we've seen a Shih Tzu murdered earlier in the
Yeah.
film. Are there that many Shih Tzus by Crystal Lake on that day?
I think with this one, because like,
And the music again implies a slightly
Yeah.
dreamy state.
because I think like police go in, we didn't find any boy. If Jason, from the first one, if Jason goes back into the water, well, they're not going to find him. Do you know what I mean? So you're like, ooh, it could be a dream, could be not a dream. We're saying it's a dream. Whereas with this, I'm taking seeing Muffin's corpse earlier in the film, then seeing Muffin alive later on is an indication this is nailed on, definitely a dream.
Yes.
Like, it's got to be.
And then what we get at the end is Jason smashing through the window
yes.
and grabbing Ginny.
Yeah.
Then, similar to the first film, it kind of reality resets.
Yeah.
And we see Ginny being taken away the morning after in an ambulance.
Yeah.
Traumatized.
Yeah.
There is no appearance of Paul and there's no appearance of Muffin. So the implication is that if that is a dream,
Yeah.
Paul didn't survive the events of the preceding night elsewhere.
No, yeah.
If that's not a dream, Jason murders Muffin and Paul then in that new cabin.
Yeah.
And somehow and for some reason, like Alice in the first film, doesn't do anything to Ginny.
Leaves her alive. It's a dream, man. I think, like, if we got to go by evidence, Muffin's corpse. As much as I would love Muffin to be
Smoking
alive,
Muffin.
do they actually kill Muffin in this one, or
You can't.
did Muffin get off better than the fucking snake?
It's a woman off screen going,
Are you joking? Yeah. Snake ran. I was like, see, I fucking told you not to take Muffin down there. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I think that I do like it, and I like how the ending is becoming like this cool little trope of Friday the 13th film. They're like little fakey scares at the end.
we ask you this question, ask you every week.
Okay.
And bearing in mind, one of the ways out is staying in a bar and drinking Coors. Do you think you might have survived the events of Friday the 13th Part 2?
Do you know what? Going by our rules, yes. Going by The film, I think I would have been up snooping about Camp Crystal Lake, so I'd have been an easy kill.
I reckon you'd be skinny dipping within 5
Skinny
minutes.
dipping, yeah. To be fair, if a
Covered
girl,
in poison ivy.
if a girl was like, "Do you want to skinny dip with me?" I'm skinny dipping.
Okay, well, all right. Good to bear in mind.
Unfortunately.
Well, 12 weeks to go. We'll be back here next week.
Yeah.
And we're heading into the third dimension with Friday the 13th, part 3.
The boy, is he dead too?
Ma'am, we didn't find any boy.